Okay, good evening. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Susan Tully Livesley Boardroom of the 1887 building. I'd like to start the evening out by saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Mr. Tedlock, would you take roll call, please?
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Mr. Gayheart.
Here.
Mayor Gordon.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costa.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Ms. Corpus.
Here.
Mr. Jaime Saravia.
We do have a quorum. This meeting has been noticed for state statutes, and the next thing on the agenda is the community participation. I did receive one request to speak during community participation today. I'm just going to read a statement and then I'll call him to speak. The community participation period is an important time for the Board of Education to hear concerns, gratitude, etc. of its constituents. That said, prior to making a statement, please be aware that each speaker bears the personal risk if anything they say during community participation at the school board meeting is defamatory, slanderous, or otherwise harmful to another individual. All right, so I would like Mr. Adam Swan to come up and speak, and we have 3 minutes to speak.
Right, I'll do my best to keep it brief. My name is Adam Swan, I'm the city administrator for the city of Elkhorn, and I'm just here with respect to the item on the agenda for the Newman Company's offer to purchase 2.27 acres of land. I just want to acknowledge that the city has been working with Newman for the last year. They're the first real serious developer we've had wanting to do a single family development in the city, which is, I know, a priority. It's a priority that Jason made the very first time we met. Just want to acknowledge that we are working with them. I'm not here to argue, advocate really necessarily. And with respect to the offer, other than to say, we're excited about this opportunity. The council did last week vote to hire Ellers Financial Services to help us create a new TID. So there will be a joint review board meeting, which obviously the school board will be at that meeting in January. So the city is moving forward with creating a TID for purposes of supporting this project. So
Okay.
that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the Jackson Elementary student presentation.
All right. Hello, I'm Mrs. Thorson and we're the Jackson fifth graders. We're here today to tell you a little bit about one of our science projects that we kicked off the year with for Project Lead the Way. We learned all about robotics engineering.
So, hi, I'm Chase. We began by researching the different types of robots that exist and what they are used for. We focused on nuclear disaster in Japan and how robots were needed to clean up the process.
Hi, I'm Nolan. Then we dug into our Vex kits. In teams, we worked like engineers to develop a prototype for a toy for young children. We then created an advertisement for our product and shared them to the class.
Hi, I'm Benson. Up next, we learned about all electric parts of the Vex kits and learned about inputs and outputs from testing out the different sensors and mirrors.
Hi, I'm Micah. Finally, we put everything we learned together into our final project. We worked in teams to build a robot chassis like you see today. Once the car was built, we created an attachment that could move pretend hazardous waste while remotely driving the cars. We demonstrated this by having a relay race.
Nice. Micah, Nolan, Benson, and Chase all excelled through the entire process. They had some of the fastest relay race times in the fifth grade. So we would like to show you kind of what went into building them, give you a chance to maybe drive them yourselves. But first, the boys are going to go ahead and demonstrate a relay race for you. Okay, you guys want to boot up?
So were these guys all on the same team?
No, they were not on the same
Okay.
team.
All right.
They were in teams of 3. And they actually, I don't think any of them were on the same team.
Okay. Come on. Oh my God. We think. There you go. There you go. Oh.
It's a science.
All right, we're going.
You got it.
Oh, where am I going? Oh.
There you go. Demonstrating how they dance.
There we go.
Nice. The boys are gonna kind of just bring them over to you guys, if that's okay, and kind of show you how they work and what they're capable of, and then if you guys want to try driving them.
So we had, want you to like.
Yeah, you want to take this kind of zone.
Special sensor or it's just. Shut it down. Okay.
There we go. And I'll see it once. There you go.
And what's this sensor in the back there?
Yeah, I noticed when you were driving that one of the wheels was just spinning and not getting any traction, so.
So these sense hazards and the red paper represents hazards that you have to avoid and stay away from.
Around it. Okay, that's.
So if you go over that sensor, it shuts the robot.
So that's why you couldn't go over the piece of paper, because that would have turned it on.
Yeah.
So,
Just like we did.
let's say,
So I noticed your design is more straight and then theirs is more open. But you had an easier time.
if your color sensor goes over the red paper.
Or if it just grabbed it.
Or.
There you go.
There you go.
You just have to be a more precise driver, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you put the pins in, because it helps keep the cube on when you're charting. So once you have it, it puts it inside easier.
It's not a little smaller. That's so that means I can go. It's red, that means I can't go, so. Kind of how we would see like a stop.
Test driving.
How long did it take you to put everything together?
Basically, it's not stuff.
Did you have to draw it out first and design it, or did you just put it together?
So,
Right one forward, and after the one.
so this, if I'm just moving this one forward, it's just gonna turn. If I'm moving this one forward, it's still gonna turn. But if I'm moving going forward, it's gonna go straight forward. Yeah.
No, pretty detailed directions you had to follow, didn't you, to build it? They had their own attachment.
But.
Great job.
Do you guys know what Atari is?
It's to drive like a tank.
Andre's giving it a go.
I mean, you go forward, do I have to do both buttons forward?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, drive like a tank.
I've been a while over there.
Yeah, you're right.
Get the block and move
This,
the block.
this is harder than I thought.
I know. That's why I get
It's not like an Xbox, we learned that, right?
Yeah.
But you have to, okay.
So are the controllers pretty sensitive?
It's, yeah, it's pretty sensitive and so you have to, because the wheels don't turn. So it turns by moving one wheel forward and the other one not. So that's why,
We turn.
You can only turn.
that's why you have to do the two wheel. We're like a lawnmower.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's easy.
Yeah, that's a good.
Like one of those zero turns.
Can't turn it.
That doesn't allow zero turn lawnmowers.
As we're very going flat.
Oh, I see.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Very.
Let's see what it does if I go over the hazard.
This stuff, yes, right.
It's so long.
Well done. You're so much. Kernville.
Very cool.
All right.
All right, now, sorry.
Drive them on out. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, just wait a second. Get the lock button up there. Okay, we'll move on to the presentation by Katie Brock with Gateway Technical College.
Always so hard to go after the kid.
I know myself. Oh,
You guys don't have any robots? No, no robots. Back to the old and boring. Sure, I can do that. So thanks to everybody for giving us some time tonight to come and talk a little bit about our partnership and share some of the exciting work that Katie and her team and the Elkhorn group has done. I mean, everything from obviously the school district to the Career and College Academy to Elkhorn Options. I mean, we've been doing so much great work together. Gateway's very proud of that work, not just Elkhorn, but all the high schools that we serve, but certainly Elkhorn with the campus so close and everything, being able to leverage that partnership and give students a lot of great opportunities to get an early start on some great careers while they're still in high school, save them a lot of money along the time they're doing that. And with all the work that we do with local employers from around the Tri-County District, I mean, we hear, all the time, they need more workers, they need them faster, so the only way to do that is really start to expand what we do in high school to be able to get them workforce ready quicker. So I can't thank Katie and Sam and Melissa and her entire team that does all the hard work of getting all this registered and set up and ready to go. So again, thank you, Katie, for doing that. And that's really the extent of my knowledge on this. You always have really good people that do all the hard work. So I'll let Katie dive into the details.
Well, thanks again. My name is Katie Groff and I am the Director of High School Partnerships. Really appreciate the time to come out and talk to you today. So I have a presentation for you. So my role, I basically oversee dual credit opportunities. Dual credit, high school students have the chance to earn both high school and college credit at the same time. We have, more than 7 different opportunities now for students to earn dual credit. So I'm just going to quickly define all of them for you. And I'm really proud to say that Elkhorn partners with us on all of these areas. So first of all, it's transcripted credit, and that's when your teacher is certified to teach a college level course. They have a mentor and they're teaching our curriculum. The best part about transcripted credit is that they're cost neutral contracts. We bill you for the instruction and you bill us back the exact same amount for all of your teachers' time. But it doesn't work without your teachers. Start College Now allows public high school juniors and seniors to take college level courses at our school if you guys don't offer it. Our high school academies are where students come over and take classes with us and in a specific career pathway with the goal of earning a credential. The goal is to get them a credential that's Act 59 eligible. So then again, you guys get funding from the state. Youth apprenticeship is a program which it combines both in-class curriculum, and students can apply what they're learning in that class on the job in one of 16 career clusters. 5 is a contract, and that's when your school calls up myself and some of our deans and our faculty and asks, we only want our students only to be in the specific class. So we do that from American Sign Language to some of our general studies classes. Vanguard is virtual classes. Your students have a Chromebook, they're Zooming one-on-one with our instructors. We see that a lot at the high school in our American Sign Language. And then our ASL classes, and then advanced standing is when students, if we don't have a qualified teacher, we can do an agreement where they're getting some credit for prior learning. But it's been really exciting at Gateway over the last year or so. If you go to the next slide, we have been able to get our hands on so much data. The Wisconsin Technical College System has put together a Tableau dashboard in which I can grab specific high school data from prevalence, credentials, transitions, and outcomes. And so if you go to the next slide, Jason, that is what this handout is all about. My most recent data is from 2022 to 2023. But you guys had over 611 students, unique students participating, earning over 3,800 credits, saving a total of over $600,000 for your community. Breakdown, what I always find really interesting, one of my big key pieces I find out is that you have everyone from freshmen to seniors participating. I think a lot of times people think it's only open to seniors, but your largest group of students participating is our juniors. If you go over to the next side, I am super excited. Oh yeah.
Can I just point out that tuition saved would be the cost of Gateway Technical College tuition?
Yes.
So when we have students who are attending UW Milwaukee, which I just spoke to a parent today, how many credits they transferred all of them in. So that savings then gets multiplied by whatever that factor is that
It's real
UW
dollars.
Milwaukee charges,
Yeah.
which is what, $1,500 a 3
Yeah,
credit class or more?
Times
So,
3 probably, right?
So that's why I say that number is probably more reflective of millions of dollars in savings
Right.
annually for our families.
That's less than $150 a credit.
Yeah.
For what
Less
we're
than
charging.
Yeah, that's the
So
gateway.
That's
Yep.
the gets.
Yeah, you
Not
got
the
it.
cost in real world, what students would pay in another institution.
Yeah, and yeah, they transfer those credits, yeah.
Yeah.
On the second page, go back, because I have to
Oh,
talk about this
sorry.
one. One of my favorite numbers on this whole thing though is 74 credentials were earned by high school students before they graduated from high school. Top credentials, hospitality, essentials, group childcare, and nursing assistant. I am so excited because in that Tableau dashboard, I get access to the entire state. And Elkhorn is the #1 high school in the entire state for awarding credentials to high school students. #1 out of all of the high schools. So that was so exciting. But then we can also see, your students are continuing on at Gateway. Many of them also, we can see where they're transferring if they're not coming to Gateway. But when your students are coming to Gateway, they have a higher GPA than students who don't have dual credit. They're continuing into their second year at a higher rate, and they're graduating in less than 3 years compared to our students that are coming in without dual credit. So lots of great success, so much awesome data in that. But I do want to just give a quick shout out to all of your transcripted credit instructors. I have them all listed here. Again, that's the bulk of what we do. It's again, your high school teachers certified to teach the college level courses. And we have quite a few of them, both at Elkhorn Area High School and the Career and College Academy, and just wanted to give them a big thanks. We had from 2021 to 2022, though, a grant as well through the U.S. Department of Education, in which your instructors wrote grants to get funding back to make sure that they had all the resources they need, and you had about $15,000 in grants coming to your school. My next slide though, Jason, we've got just again shouting out all of that cost savings. So this is from this past year, and as you can see, if you looked at them all real quick, Elkhorn Area High School is the largest high school cost savings from transcripted credit out of all the high schools in Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth counties. So kudos again to all of your transcripted credit instructors, your administrators. Jason, thank you for your partnerships. Dan, Kelly at the high schools. It's just fantastic to see those dollars saved right here in this community.
And that's just the
just
transcripted
the
credits, which
transcripted
is just one of those.
Yep. You got it. High school academies though, wanted to give a big shout out. You guys have so many students participating, and this is where we really are seeing those students earning a credential before they graduate from high school, which makes them employable right away. It's kind of speaking of what Matt was saying, our employers really need them. So since 2018, you had 243 students have enrolled in a high school academy in a wide range of things from welding, CNC, criminal justice, fire. We have our first ever HVAC academy starting this spring. So we have 9 students from your district participating, liberal arts and sciences, nursing, etc. But we were really excited. We had Morna Foy, our president of the Wisconsin Technical College System, come and visit us in February, and she spent some time with your students in learning CNC, and she also got to weld, and your students taught her how to weld. So that was really kind of cool, kind of the flip of the classroom. But this is an awesome program, and we're really seeing, we have Precision Plus photoed here. I know many of your students participating in programs with them, so it's really cool to see, again, high school to college to the employment all coming together. I have to give a major shout out as well to Mike Dolly and Chris Trottier and Joanne Pella, I know in her retirement. Just, you guys have a fantastic youth apprenticeship program here, both at CCA, at Options, and at Elkhorn Area High School. So last year, we had over 50 students participate, over 40 different employers, and you'll see it's just really grown. Back in 2015, 2016, we had, just over 10. So lots of students, again, applying what they're learning in the classroom on the job. They're getting paid at least minimum wage. But as you'll see in some of the handouts I gave you, they're getting paid more, about $14.50. I see some students though in your area coming in making over 20 bucks an hour, which is awesome. These students, are going to work, and either they're starting their day in the morning or they're ending their day working after school. Again, just honing those skills and getting connected to those employers. So my next slide, just kind of showing those areas in which we have youth apprentices, everything from healthcare, construction is a big one, manufacturing, agriculture. Really excited to see these numbers grow. We just actually got from the Department of Workforce Development some new pathways. So we're excited to see some new pathways in criminal justice, firefighting, cosmetology, education is a new one. So this will look a little different this next year because we have some more pathways. But your students, making over, estimated wages is almost 300, over $350,000 that they made. Bring it right back into your community, which is pretty cool. My next one just kind of breaks it down again by those dollars and cents. Look at our healthcare students. They're making almost $16.40 per hour. Really excited. I know both Mike and Chris have done great jobs getting out to your local employers, really talking about, hiring 16-year-olds, getting them that experience. And it's just been really a great thing. So cannot say enough about those two guys. But I oversee the Department of Workforce Development grant in order to offer this program to a consortium of high schools. And so I give funding back then to your district for all of those students that participate in youth apprenticeship. So last year, we reimbursed you over $14,000 for related classroom instruction that your students took with Gateway. And then gave you guys $30,000 based on all of that coordination that both Mike and Chris do.
Is that accurate that 100% of the students in the YAs were?
That's what my report showed. I questioned that too, but I'll look.
Really?
Yeah, I'll take a peek. Yeah.
Okay.
So very exciting, a great program that's just continuing to grow right here at Elkhorn. My next one, really wanted to highlight and give major kudos to you guys again, because dual credit's been an area where we're seeing lots of news about, and so I was really excited. Last summer, the Wisconsin Policy Forum came out with this document really talking about looking at dual credit, not only from the technical colleges, but the UWs and those private colleges as well. And they came up with statewide, about 25% of students are participating in dual credit. Gateway, we're more in our tri-county area are about 34%, so really excited to be above that state average. But when I look at just your school district, at Elkhorn Area High School specifically, 64% of your students are participating in dual credit. Way, way, way above the school or the state average, so kudos to you. And that's really only counting Gateway. So I'm not even counting, you know, your students that are participating at UW Whitewater or anywhere else. I bet that number is even higher.
That's amazing.
So I did want to just give again, shout out, school report cards recently came out, so numbers are a little bit different, Jason, so we might want to look at that dual enrollment, because you guys are reporting over 50, but I would say it's higher than that. But you guys are way above that state average, dual enrollment, advanced courses, industry recognized credentials, and work-based learning. So just kudos to you. A lot of this work happens, I know, in your school counseling office with Mike Dolly, Chris Trottier, Dan, Kelly Demrath, all of your administrators, and just cannot say enough kudos to all of them. All right, but my last slide, I always have to end on a great student success story. So was very excited. We got a call from the Department of Workforce Development. We were hosting our first ever National Youth Apprenticeship Week the first week of May last year, and DWD wanted to go and visit 4 places in the state. And they picked Gateway as one of them. And so I immediately called Mike Dolly and I was like, where should we go? Well, let's do something. And so we had Jenny Serino, DWD assistant, deputy secretary, join us for a tour. We went to Precision Plus, in which they got to meet many of your current youth apprentices, but also your former youth apprentices who now have full employment at Precision Plus. And then we also went to XPX Flow, and we got to meet many of your students, and here pictured is Zoe. Zoe, like, I think just like blew Jenny away. Like, she did such a great job. Zoe was one of our high school academy students who then applied what she was learning in the classroom in a YA with XPX Flow. We went on a tour, and everyone there was like, oh, we know when it's a Zoe weld because it's such a pretty weld. Like, she got, like, her attention to detail is so fantastic. But Zoe was just rocking it. She's doing so great, and it was just an awesome way to celebrate all of your youth apprentices. So I had to just share that story. I will tell you, this was probably my hardest slide to pick, because I could have spent another hour here talking about all the great success stories coming out of Elkhorn. So again, just wanted to thank you. Thanks for the time to just share some of our success stories with you. But also really just wanted to say thank you to Jason and his entire leadership team, your transcript to credit instructors, your counseling departments. You guys are fantastic partners, and we just look forward to continuing to grow in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
News.
Any
Does anybody have any
questions?
questions? Yeah.
How do we grow it?
Yeah.
How do we get more kids? This is awesome.
Yeah.
One of the tasks that I've given to or asked Mr. Trottier to really spearhead, and this is what's really critical, is I would love to see, and this is a very aspirational goal, but I would love to see 50% of our students completing a youth apprenticeship or a similar type experience. In order to do that, we've got to grow a lot of the business partnerships in those seats. Because you think about that, I mean, if you were looking at 500 students, and maybe that's 250 a year, that's a lot of business partnerships, a lot of seats that have to be created. That takes a lot of time to nurture that relationship, to develop it. But there are a lot of industries coming into our area within our region, and especially if kids have access to transportation. That's one of the biggest obstacles in the YAs and that workforce, is the state moving away from having the driver's ed within the school setting, and all kids, it was like a rite of passage. You turn 16, you take that test on that day.
Yeah.
It's very common now for the kids. I don't know, how many seniors would you say don't have their driver's license? Pretty high number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that just don't get access to it, or I'm surprised by, they don't even want it. We're like, mom and dad will drive. Well, that prevents, that prevents that youth apprenticeship and that type of opportunity. So those are things, like Mrs. Demrath wrote a grant. We actually have a vehicle to do driver's ed and get access to some of those students who don't have that. But there's a number of factors, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of bandwidth to generate this end as far as the YAs go. And then it's helping educate the parents as well in a manner which aligns to the number of opportunities we have, because we can't go out and get 250 kids excited and then say, oh, guess what, we only have 50 openings.
Yes.
So.
Probably never
that's
been a better time though to work with employers on that, because if
Yeah.
they've ever been open to that opportunity, I mean, now, and then for the foreseeable future, right? I mean, the employers are very, very well versed on the demographic situation that they're gonna be facing for the next 20 years, right? I mean, we know how many kids were born last year and there wasn't a lot of them, so they know there's not gonna be a lot of people to recruit 20 years from now when they need employees. So
Yeah.
they are open to those conversations. So getting ahead of it, like you clearly have been, you're on the right trajectory.
The academies is another one that I know I pushed out the emails personally when there's sections that are looking like they're not going to run. I think it's a paradigm shift for students and parents to realize how rich these experiences are. I made my son do the CNC academy, like, it's not optional, you're gonna do it. Well, I don't wanna leave the high school during, it's my senior year, I wanna stay there all day. Like, no, you can go in the afternoon, and he loved it. And it's a great stackable credential that builds on and develops a different skill set. And whether you're going right into the career field or to a four-year institution, they're looking for those type of experiences on the students' transcripts, on their background. You know, if Damon had gone into the engineering, having the CNC background would have been a rich start. He had advanced entry at Utah State into their engineering program, in large part, I think, because of that. So he would have gone in, you know, as a sophomore, not had to test or compete in after his freshman year. So I think these are rich opportunities. I think that word of mouth continuing to spread that, because we have a hard time filling these academies, to be frank. I was excited to see that we had 9,
I know.
but all 9 are from Elkhorn?
No, we have
Or-
more than that. We have 16 total, but
Okay,
9 of them are
from
ours.
Elkhorn. Okay,
Yep.
that's great.
We have a wait list on that one, actually, so.
And I believe that the nursing academy moved to the Elkhorn campus? or
Yep,
is
so
that-
we're really, well, you wanna speak about that, nursing moving to Elkhorn?
Yep, so well, moving it from Burlington to Elkhorn, little construction delays, we wanted to do it in fall, but that is, it is complete now. So we will be doing that this spring, and then going forward, we'll have nursing in all 3 counties, Elkhorn, Kenosha, and Racine.
And do they earn their CNA through the nursing one?
So they'll already have their CNA done when they
Okay.
start. So this fall, the students were preparing, taking general anatomy and physiology, and they're preparing for their HESI exam. They take their HESI exam, which is a nursing exam, this Friday. And so goal, as long as they pass that, get their high enough score, they will then take some additional general studies classes in the spring semester, and then take their first clinical nursing class in the spring.
You have to get your CNA to get into
Yes.
your,
To get into
yeah,
the program.
your RN program, so wherever you get it, the sooner you can, the better off it is.
So that nursing academy is the start of the RN program.
You got it.
I was just gonna ask that, so a senior graduating in the nursing academy would graduate with,
Already
Already have,
15
like-
college credits. Yep,
Okay.
so a whole semester done.
nice.
Yep.
So they would have 1.5 years left?
Yeah,
for
not
their
even,
nursing?
not even.
That's wild.
I know. And then they go to their employer, they get hired, their employer could pay for them to continue on and get their bachelor's, right? I mean, it's just
Right.
this amazing
Right.
journey that they could do.
Save a semester of time, save
Yeah.
a semester of tuition, and then, yeah, and ultimately get working sooner, so that's
Yeah.
one extra, we'll say semester or half a year of salary and retirement and whatever else.
And what I found are the high school students thrive in the college schedule setting, meaning,
Mhm.
you know, a high school class meets at our building on our 5-hour day, meets 5 days a week for 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is equivalent to if you took that seat time over to the college level,
Yeah.
that's about 7 credit hours
Probably.
in seat time.
It's a
So
lot of
as
seat time.
opposed to a 3-credit class, which meets 3 times a week for 45 minutes
Right.
at a time. So I found that the students doing the blend of the high school and or the academies really enjoy that schedule and that structure.
So is this, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this, but is this common amongst other equivalent high schools? I see we're the best in everything. That's is what it is, but are these programs offered at like Bigfoot or Burlington, or are they not taken advantage of? Is this a common thing around? I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we definitely, open to everyone. I would say when you go to transcripted credit, it really goes down to your teachers that are certified. You guys have excellent teachers that have great
Okay.
qualifications that you may not find
Okay.
wouldn't maybe meet our qualifications. So again, kudos to your instructors here. Who do great work. I mean, I'll pick on Maggie Green over at CCA. When she approached us about teaching dual credit, she didn't have the qualifications, and so she was like, I'll go back to school and get them. And so that's like kudos to her, that edge to go and do that. But our academies are definitely open. You guys have right down the road, I think definitely
Proximity helps.
that definitely
Sure.
does help.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely open to all, and I think to your school counselors are fantastic. Before me being in this role, I was a kind of our new student specialist. I got to sit in with your school counselors, got to know them very well, and they always participate in all of our professional development over at Gateway. They know our teams and our staff, they know our programs, and so they can speak very, eloquently to families and students. So that's fantastic.
For the transcripted credit, a couple of years, maybe in 2 or 3 years ago, to incentivize or assist the teachers, because in many of those program areas, you need to have a content area, a master's degree within that specific content area.
Gen Ed area.
Yeah.
In it. So we incentivize that by saying that instead of just doing that 50% tuition reimbursement, if you're going in an area to teach the transcripted credit and get qualified in that we'd cover that other component of it. I mean, they're putting in a lot of their, their own time, their own effort, they're going to the class. I don't feel right about them also having to outlay the dollars to get eligible for that. So I think that's helped break down some barriers for some of our staff members where they're willing to put the time in.
Yeah.
And we're willing to invest in them and doing it.
Yeah.
I would also say because of the board's approach and removing the cap on the number of credits that students can earn, 18 is a state law minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what it's done is I think it's really elevated and pushed all the other high schools in Walworth County to also make sure their students are having these opportunities and access to it. So I think
Yes,
I think as
definitely.
Walworth County, we see a large high school participation.
that is different. So to your point, right? Usually that minimum becomes a de facto maximum. So by your support, as Jason mentioned, in not doing that, that certainly has opened up a lot more opportunities that you don't find at other districts.
So thank you very much.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you, on behalf of all of your students, thank you. Yeah.
This is great.
Anything else?
All right.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate your time.
Bring robots next time.
I know.
They do sponsor a robot competition. Middle school or high school usually goes to.
Okay, next we have the presentation and proposal by Newman Companies to purchase 2.27 acres of land.
Guys, the first thing I need to take from this meeting is I gotta go ask my fifth grader if he's doing cool stuff like that. Wow, that was fun. So yeah, my name is Brian Lindgren. I'm with Newman Companies. We're based out of Pewaukee, but we are a land development and home building company throughout southeast Wisconsin. So we operate from Port Washington to Union Grove and Waterford and Whitewater, Watertown, all the waters. And all the way in between. So with our companies, we'll generally build about 350 homes a year. So as Adam mentioned earlier, we're very interested in coming to Elkhorn as well. So what we started with was a piece of land that is adjacent to the Options Virtual Academy. So that is what we are working on in a development proposal with the city. And when we do stuff like this, we look around, we look at opportunities and efficiencies that can come about by doing a project. So one of them that jumped out right away is right here on Second Avenue. So the Cook family, who owns the land currently, owns a little strip of land just south of the school. And in order to extend Second Avenue in a manner that makes sense, it really, you want to have homes on both sides of the road. It's an efficiency thing altogether, so. We looked at that and reached out to Jason with Adam's help to say, hey, is this something that is, we can at least request to come here and talk to you all to see if that's of interest to take a portion of the land and split it off and sell it. So being cohesive with the development that we're gonna propose, it would take about just over 2 acres, about 2.25 acres. This is an estimate on the south side. Tried to draw it in as best as I could, and we would then, again, it's something that you'll talk about in closed session, but we made a proposal, and then Jason can pass that along to you, consistent with what we're paying for the land next door. The way the development world works is we're the developer, we put all the infrastructure in, and when we're done, we work primarily with our own builders and transfer them lots so they can build homes and sell them to the community. Here, we would make that same proposal, and we would help with what's called a minor land division called a CSM to split off that 2.25 acres. I would only say that is contingent on the rest of the development happening, because it only works with everything else. And when we go into a proposal for a neighborhood of this size, which without the land's about 140 homes, with the land, it's a little shy of 160, because we can expand down all of Second Avenue. We phase those developments, so we wouldn't do it all at once. It's a lot to bring on all at once. So we do it in chunks of about 20-30 homes a year. That would be the goal. And then our builders would build at a similar pace to help move new families into the area.
Just so the board's aware, because we've had, several new board members since we purchased the property at options. When we purchased the property, I believe this is the segment that we originally carved off and sold to the Cook family at that time, with the purpose so there would be space to extend Second Avenue through there. Part of the discussion that the board had at that time was wanting to preserve the ball field, the softball field, not that we use it in a school program, but that was a community piece. But I also don't think the Cooks ever proposed going beyond that. I think they just were looking at the what's this called right here? The
Right of way.
section. So I think we have that proposal, and the board can look at that for consideration. I would say also, just when we looked at this proposal originally, there was, when we purchased the property, there was the potential to put if the district needed to, it gave a large enough acreage to add a second building or facility on the site. In, the way the housing development is going, I think originally that was looking at if there was a road that came down here, but that would then, obviously you'd have to get access probably from the north side. This doesn't extend or show all of the school property, but that's down the road if the district wanted to utilize that space or not. That would change. And it's right now, this is our school forest out at.
I was just gonna
Options.
ask that, it's how much of it, doesn't look like it's a lot of the forest that it takes.
About 3 of those lots kind
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
forest land.
Is there's nothing in that forest area right now that has already been.
Where they build the playhouse.
That's the right word, but.
Yeah, there's
Did they
signs.
build the playhouse right there?
No, it's on the
No,
other
okay,
side.
it's on the other side. All right. Any questions?
Is that the parking lot there?
Yes.
Okay, so those 2 lots right at the start of Second Avenue would kind of back up to that parking lot.
Yeah, it looks like it wouldn't interfere with where it is in its current state,
Yeah.
but
Okay. How big are those lots? Just out of curiosity.
it'd be, it comes out to a little under 1/4 acre.
Okay.
So 70 foot wide by 120. Actually, I think
Those
those
are
are
like comparable.
yeah, those I think I drew in exactly what those are, which I think are
Okay.
just to match the neighborhood.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the approval of the school board minutes. Anybody have any comments or changes or anything that needs to be made? If not, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes to November 25th, 2024 regular session school board meeting as presented.
There's a second. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the November 25th, 2024 regular session school board meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And then we have general and other fund bills.
The general other fund bills covers checks number 153-781 through 153-879, wire transfers 601 through 610. And ACH numbers 367 to 368 through 403, and the combined amount of $571,153.65. I provided a memo on several of the bills in your packet, and several of you had some additional follow-up questions too that I tried to respond to.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Mr. Tron?
I did, but if it's too crazy, we don't have to get into it, but. It's ironic because my kid went to it, but we spent $2,500 on tickets to Pfizer. For the girls' basketball program, and I was trying to figure out why. Why would we buy tickets to Pfizer? And if that's a handle question, that's fine, but.
Probably girls' basketball
Basketball
activity.
activity.
account.
I don't know.
I'm
We
guessing
played
that-
there,
I mean, we didn't fund it. I'm sure the parents funded it.
Right, it would have been
Fundraiser,
Fund 21.
Yeah.
so I asked the parents and the parents didn't, that's why I was goofy.
No, I'm sure the parents and I'm sure the Fund 21.
Okay,
So it would have been their fundraising.
Oh,
okay,
that's-
okay,
got
okay,
it.
okay, so the fun,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, because there was, and this is all hearsay, but Milton made a deal with them to play there, but then you have to sell tickets. Apparently, it was a convoluted conversation. I just wanted to make sure we weren't.
Yeah,
buying
the district didn't pay from the general fund, so. it
Okay.
would've been-
Okay,
I don't have the ledger in front of me, but I'm guessing it was Fund 21 bills.
It was.
Yeah.
okay,
And the girls' basketball has been the beneficiary for years of cornering a portion of the fair parking.
Mhm.
And so they have a very good
okay,
cash flow from the fair parking and fundraising. source
Okay.
there.
okay, that makes sense.
So,
Don't tell her I brought it up because I don't want to ruin it for them, but it was concerning.
I'm sure that's probably what so they probably didn't need to pass on the cost to the parents or even
Right.
ask them, they just
Yeah.
Okay,
covered the cost to get the experience for the kids.
cool, got it.
How about WACPC? Is that cheer? I haven't seen that acronym.
Yes, that's the cheer.
That's cheer.
That's cheer.
It's fairly new. Yeah.
I didn't recognize it.
First, let me mark that down, Kevin.
And Bill, maybe, and I know we report the Fund 21 expenditures, but, and I don't want to misspeak on my understanding of those, but. I've always held the understanding that when it's those student organizations and those components that really they have a lot of autonomy over how those monies are spent, and that we really don't. And maybe you could allude to that we really don't have a whole lot of say over that. Is that accurate? We're the custodians of it. but-
That's probably not accurate.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we need to get something
Yeah,
to say.
it used to be Fund 60 was the student activity accounts, and kind of, you probably remember those, and there were some accounting changes, which basically said because school districts are involved either through advisors
and have accounting procedures in place that they really are controlled under the school district.
Right.
So all of those shifted in Fund 21. I'm not aware of any school district in the state that has Fund 60.
Which is also why we approve.
And that's why they go
overnight
through the board packet, you see all that
Right.
activity.
So what I was referring to was the prior.
You
Fund
were,
60.
yes, and that's the
Okay.
way it was under the old rules. You're
Under the
absolutely
Fund
right,
60,
Jason.
okay.
So what I'll do, I made a note here, it seems like every quarter or so, I'll put a report together on all Fund 21 accounts, because we have several hundred of those, so I'll just show you the summary of them, so you can kind of see. There's quite a few of them.
It was interesting because I'm trying to find it out, but I think it was on maybe it was put on a credit card or something, or it was under Lori's something or other. So that's kind of why I was like, what the heck are we buying tickets for?
Yeah.
But would she have just been bought the tickets like on her account or a credit card or something? And then-
Yeah, I mean, it's a district P card, so
Okay.
rather than issuing P cards to like all of our coaches,
Right,
we have that kind of coordinated so that it's done by one.
pretty much all the sports ones go through Lori.
That's why I would go through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, her, there it is on her credit card, Pfizer game tickets. What the heck? And I looked at the date and I remembered Emmeline was playing that day, so that's why it was, all right, full circle. Cool, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of December 9th, 2024, check numbers 153781 to 153879, wire numbers 601 to 610. And ACH numbers 368 to 403, and the combined amount of $571,153,065 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of December 9th, 2024, check numbers 153781 to 153879. Wire numbers 601 to 610 and ACH numbers 368 to 403 in the combined amount of $571,153.65. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, student representative report.
Who's up first?
I am.
All right.
Over at the high school, we just decorated for the holidays. So on the left, I have a picture. We wrapped some of the bowls in the cafeteria with wrapping paper. And then we're doing our first ever holiday assembly. We used to have one like 20 years ago, but this is our first one recently. So student council is really excited about that. The band is going to be playing a holiday song and the choir will be singing. And then student council has been practicing. We're doing our own song to Last Christmas and we have a little dance to it too. And then we're also providing, student council is baking or buying cookies for the student body to have at the assembly. And then on the right, I have the picture of the tree and basically there's ornaments hung onto the tree and each ornament has a gift that someone staying at the Twin Oaks Homeless Shelter would like to receive for the holidays. So all of the students are able to grab one and bring it back to Mr. Cleveland's room to donate. And then on the bottom in the middle there, Aaron Schumer got all ready for soccer, so.
Nice. Are those ornaments being taken? I mean, are people,
Yeah,
they are, so you feel like you've got good participation on that?
we just hung them up today after
Okay,
school, but
okay.
usually we get really good participation.
Okay.
So,
They usually go.
Good,
yeah.
awesome.
can we cover that assembly? That seems kind of cool.
During your study hall.
Yeah.
So it's over the lunch hour time, yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe we could get the exact time or details if you could email it.
Yeah.
As well, we'll push that out.
Sounds good.
So you want cookies is what you're saying?
The high school choir always goes, one of my favorite Rotary Club meetings is they go and sing at the library rotunda.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh, yeah.
the
it sounds-
acoustics there are
sounds-
amazing.
Yeah, it sounds so great in there.
Yes, they're wonderful.
Over at the middle school, Miss Card's win class, took a walking field trip to read to the second graders at Jackson. And then the second graders read their books back to them, so.
Oh.
They have a winter dance this Friday, the 13th. They had a bake sale going on, the 3rd and 6th, December 3rd and 6th during the lunches. And for the month of December, their 6th grade intramural, they're doing Legos for the month of December, so. Westside had a candy cane fundraiser. It was made by the student council and the money is going to local charities. The orders forms were due on Friday the 6th. The name of the annual holiday program is Candy Cane Lane, and that's gonna be at West Side. It's the Wednesday, December 11th. Third grade classes participated in a 4-H science lab. And the programs came from the University of Wisconsin-Madison Extension Office in Walworth County and Mrs. Sanchez's class. And then that's 5th grade choir at the Christmas parade.
Yeah, they were great.
Jackson's 4th grade artists made evergreen imprint ornaments for the Wisconsin Capitol holiday tree in the rotunda. The text featured on the left, it's text feature surgery was a big success. Reading doctors found text evidence that would help their patients better understand what they're reading. The reading doctors are the students. So. And then their Christmas Spirit Week at Jackson starts the 16th, and they have all sorts of different themes that they're going to be doing.
Over at Tibbetts, on the left is a picture the students made sailboats and they got to all the students got to kind of race each other, so that was really fun. And then they have their holiday program coming up on the 18th next week. And then some of the younger elementary school kids got to make alphabet books, and so they each kind of got to have a letter and then put like different things that start with that letter on their letter. And the PTA is organizing a holiday program raffle. And then the kids also got to help decorate the hallways and different holiday decorations. For options over at the left, I have a couple quotes that I found about like reviews for their school, and it's just pretty much just a bunch of parents and family that go to the school saying how great options is for their kids and just saying a bunch of really nice things about options and all the programs that they offer. And then in the middle is some of the students decorating turkeys in disguises, and then they had to write like paragraphs about why their turkey was in a disguise and like not actually a turkey.
For CCA, the Elkworks podcast, next time on it, it's gonna be Mr. Krupa. He's a real estate agent and he's an Elkhorn Area School District alumni. He's the leading real estate agent on Lauderdale Lakes. And then what the Elkworks Noon Whistle is gonna do is they're gonna check in with Jerry and learn about his experience as a product of the Elkhorn Area School District, while also discussing current real estate market in Walworth County and market changes that are going into 2025. And here I have a calendar of what's the schedule for CCA. I'm pretty sure, I have a question. Do they and like going to break earlier than regular school?
Somewhat, their gateway classes end earlier, but then they compact some of their high school classes. So their schedule does get a little bit lighter, but then it also expands and like they'll have more of their traditional high school courses.
Because it wasn't shaded in the calendar.
Yeah, so they do follow for their gateway courses, they follow the gateway schedule. But then vice versa, like when you're on spring break, gateway doesn't have a spring break, so then they're going to school.
Yeah.
That's for the gateway course. Yeah. But yeah, all in all, they probably meet less days overall with the gateway course.
And then for parent connections, Miss Esther just had her last family story time for the year. And there was also breakfast to Santa over at Evergreen over the weekend. And then the pictures on the right are from the last family fun night that they had, and they had a bunch of different Christmas tree decorations.
All right. Thank you very much, you guys. Always so informative. All right, I gotta find where I am. 11B. Yes, the tax levy distribution.
Well,
Mr.
not
Chairman.
only is it holiday time, it's
Tax
bill
time.
time, and most municipalities have either sent the bills out or they're coming out, and it's not unusual that we'll get a phone call or two from some property owners that are reviewing their tax bill, and sometimes they'll call the municipality, they'll call the city, they'll call the township, and if it's the school portion, that they're questioning, then you'll just defer to the school district. So I thought it would be worthwhile just to spend a moment or two. Some of this is just going back in time, I realize, but the school board approved a levy back in October for the operation of the school district, which was an increase of about 2.42%. So in theory, you might think that may be what's reflected on your tax bill, right? 2.4% for that increase. The valuation, if you kind of scroll down, actually went up a little over 7%. Most of that was market growth market growth.
Yeah.
But if you go to the Department of Revenue website, you can kind of see new construction, and that was about 1%. So about 6.33 is part of the market growth. So as a result of that, it changes the mill rate and lowers the mill rate. So once you have an established mill rate, then that is distributed across all the municipalities based on equalized value, which is the top of the next page if you kind of scroll down. And those numbers come from the Department of Revenue. And it's not the same number as the assessment that shows up in your tax bill. And the reason the Department of Revenue determines equalized value, which is supposed to be fair market value, is at least years ago, the assessment practices across municipalities could be different. So this equalized that process so that the values were looked at consistently across municipality. That's the theory here. So when you look at that first top chart, typically, if you know our overall value went up 7%, and if you look at the individual municipalities, if they vary much from that, either higher or lower, it likely is going to affect the distribution of the levy to that municipality, which you see in the lower section if you kind of scroll down. So I think Lafayette was what, 12.46%?
Yep.
And you can see that their levy portion went up over 7%, even though our levy total was 2.42.
Yeah.
And then you can see how it affects the city and the other municipalities. And we have no control over that process. That's just how the process is distributed. Then the actual dollars within the municipality are distributed across the taxpayers based on the assessment. So it's a two-part process. And I just wanted to kind of show how that can vary. And I think at the time I went to the county webpage, there was only, I think, Lafayette and LaGrange were posted at that point. I know the city, Sugar Creek, I think all of the municipalities are posted now, but you can see how that affects, like this is an example of Lafayette. Now, there could be other property owners that have very different percentages. I don't want to tell you that this is the consistent or the average, but you can see how much different that is between LaGrange and just Lafayette. And if you live in the city, you may have got your tax bills. I think a lot of those I noticed was like around 1.5%. And again, it all comes down to how the levies are distributed across the municipalities based on equalized value and then assessed value. Sometimes I know I'll hear from the public that, well, our city or our township is going to get reassessed, so that means my taxes are going to go up. And that's not necessarily the case. It comes down to how is those assessments done within your municipality and what's the variance. If you live in a neighborhood and everyone's went up, say 5%, but your assessment went up 20%, then that probably would affect you differently than would your neighbors. That's just the way the assessments work. The other kind of interesting piece here, if you go to the tax bill, this samples, I just included this school levy credit that you see in the upper kind of right-hand corner. And I went back and kind of showed how that changed over the last couple of years, so 21, 22, 23. And because the state put more money into that school levy credit, and those are dollars that get distributed to the municipalities from the Department of Revenue, that is to offset the school levy or lower the school levy. And the last biennium, so it started in 23 and then 24 was the jump or increase in those dollars from the state. So probably represented over a 2-year period about a $200 difference in terms of how it affects the tax bill. Unfortunately, the way our tax bill looks, you can't really see the difference on the comparison, other than the number that's printed on the actual form. So. I don't know if this is helpful or not, but it's just sometimes I know, you know, I'll get questions and I think Jason does too, and as board members you do, like, well, I got my tax bill, and you said it was gonna be this, and I got it, and it was different.
I got a phone call today, that is those exact words.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I paying the school $2,500?
Yeah.
Those are the exact words.
And I would like to point out, if you look at this local levy dollar amount. Last year was 22,379,402. This year, 22,921, so not quite even about $550,000 more than last year's local levy. Of that $550,000, though, how much was the increase in the voucher school?
About 150,000 of it.
Okay, so about 150,000 was just to fund the private
Just
school
listed up
voucher.
above there, you can see
Oh,
that,
okay.
Jason.
Sorry. Where's that? Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
From 522 to 654.
Yep.
Which doesn't show up on your tax bill.
No.
It's just rolled into the total.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's just rolled into the total, so, yeah, we're about 674,000 is. The local levy, 100% of that goes to offset what the state takes away from us to give to the voucher schools.
And then apparently we had a lot more people not pay their tax bill this last year too. Cause isn't that the
On the
charge
charge
tax?
tax,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could be a couple businesses. It's hard to tell. Back in 2009, probably 2000, we had two large businesses that,
yeah,
and that we
Yeah.
saw a large charge back that year.
So that, the money that goes to the vouchers, is this? We don't really have those around here, right?
Yeah, we
This is-
do.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so is this state or is this, that's locally what we're?
That would be residents of Elkhorn that are attending voucher schools. There's one here in Elkhorn,
What's an example of a voucher? school?
like a parochial school, like First Lutheran.
Okay,
Qualified.
okay,
I'm trying to think St. Andrews, I think there's 2 or 3 in Delavan.
Faith
and
Christian.
Lake Geneva.
Faith
Christian.
yeah, that's
Sullivan
central,
Christian.
yeah.
oh,
So any private school or entity that accepts a public voucher. And then the family qualifies to receive the voucher.
Right.
So like for a high school age student, I believe that was $13,000 this year.
Yeah,
Yep.
So for each high school student that attends, it's kind of like open enrollment out, except it's that
Right.
full dollar amount. And you don't retain
Anything.
anything for that student, other than the state takes all the aid and you can levy the difference from the aid that you lose. So really it's a shell game in a sense, but really the local taxpayers pay
Right.
100% of the voucher.
But the
You know,
local
the
tax
state will say
taxpayers
we're
don't know
paying
that they're
for it
doing
through
that.
the aid.
well, that's why this is so interesting, and when I think vouchers, it's not what I wasn't thinking down in DCS.
Mhm.
That's really wildly interesting.
Mhm.
A lot of
And they don't have-
academic tidbits then, instead of DCS.
And then you don't even have enough, the people don't have an opportunity to vote on that. That's done automatically.
And that's about 25% of our entire increase this
Right.
year on the local levy was for
Right.
the voucher.
Right,
and we don't even know until October 15th what that number is gonna look like.
which is absurd. It's. Yeah,
Wow. That's frustrating.
No, I will say, and it's not always, because I've lived in the city, it varies from year to year. Next year, if 10 Lafayette had that spike, my guess is they probably won't have that same
Correct.
valuation. It might be the city or
Yes, it
somewhere
varies
else. that-
between them.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
especially if you let the person doing the valuations on the homes come in your house and inspect it. or- Whoops. All right. Any other questions related to that? I appreciate Mr. Truman breaking that down, because
Yes.
it
Yeah,
is
that was
something that's
Very helpful.
hard to explain. We can never tell anybody exactly what
Right.
it's going to be, and it's different for every resident in the
Right.
school district. Yeah. It's an
All right, moving on to personnel recommendations.
We have a shorter list on the personnel recommendations, the resignation of Winter Sandstrom. I want to thank her for her service as a special education teaching assistant. And the transfer of Jenna Pausch as a special ed teaching assistant. An appointment of Rebecca Holt and Kevin Pawlowski. The positions listed there.
Just looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for December 9th, 2024 as presented.
There a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for December 9th, 2024. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Yes. All right, Mr. Tylock, it looks like you have 2 gifts to present this evening.
We do. We have 2 gifts. The Nicholas D. Sturgey Foundation has donated $1,000 to Smack in a Pack for students in need and $1,500 towards the Great Day of Giving that takes place on May 17th. And then Applied Material Solutions has donated $7,500 to be used for the Elkhorn Maker Fest.
Oh, great. Wow, that's awesome. All right, need a motion to accept.
I move to accept the generous school gifts as presented.
Is there a second? I'll second. So moved and seconded to accept the generous school gifts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you both to the Applied Material Solutions and the Nicholas D. Sturgey Foundation. The Sturgey Foundation has been quite an amazing partner over the years. All right, we're moving on to the 2025-2026 budget development calendar.
Typically, the school board approves a planning calendar in December for the start of the whole budget process and it's hard to believe 25, 26, but that is what is coming up. So and the dates and timetables for most of the items here, and certainly there's more detail kind of behind the scenes that also need to get done, but these are the highlights and kind of the critical points. Are very traditional in terms of either set by state statute or this timetables we've used from year to year. One of the key dates early on is a thought process of looking at maybe scheduling an early January school board budget workshop, just to kind of go over a number of things in terms of school finance, budget forecast, and you'll see in there's some deadlines that come up really quickly.
Also our deadline.
If in fact the school board wanted to, consider in terms of looking at needs in the future and the spring election and all of that, so. That comes up really quick, and that's why we put the calendar together, just for the board to consider that as a possible meeting date to begin those discussions.
So, and we've worked with the admin leadership team to put together the proposals, what it would look like to balance the budget going into next year without, a referendum, in light of the referendum not being successful in the fall. And we felt that we'd like to, share that with the board in that time frame that would allow the board to make a decision in regards to either to, move forward without going back to the community with a modified or changed question and implement the, recommendations or, the board to, modify or tweak those, but we felt that would be a time frame in which we'd be ready to present to the board, like, here's proposals would look like.
Would that meeting be closed or?
That would be an open
Meeting.
meeting.
I feel like we have to.
Yeah, no,
I don't see how we can move forward and not have that meeting.
do we want to make that do we want to, I'm gonna call it advertise that meeting so that people can see what we're looking at cutting? Or looking at reducing, whatever you want to, or language you want to use.
I think would certainly post it and share that as we've always had, and I can do it in just right now if people want.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just something that we'd like, hey, we're gonna have this big meeting at the high school, everybody should come to see what we're referendum failed. do you wanna see what we're gonna have?
What we're gonna
to
do about it.
What we're gonna do about it? As a,
If we do that, we're gonna have to move the meeting from here.
Yeah, instead of being upstairs.
I mean,
I don't know, if I think when you look at a board meeting and the board budget workshop, those are usually like a working session.
Sure.
Workshop and so forth, I don't know, it might be entirely up to whatever you guys want to do. I'm okay with that, but I wouldn't want to do something that's counterproductive to a working session. Should
Right,
you, if
that's
that makes
true.
sense.
Cause, and do we have to have community participation in this meeting?
Can we limit the agenda
That's
items?
not a
to that?
board meeting.
No, it's a special meeting, right? So we can just,
That's
Oh,
true,
right.
it's not a board meeting, but so there wouldn't be a requirement.
Well, it would be a board meeting, it's just not a regularly scheduled board meeting. So it's entirely at the board's discretion
Got
if you wanted to have public comment or not. I think part of the challenge you'd have is you don't have any of the, here's what we're looking at, here's
Right,
what the.
and this is a
Yeah.
this is supposed to be a workshop for us
Right.
versus,
It's similar to the previous workshops where there's a
Yeah.
number of information and
Right.
discussion and that, I mean, certainly it's public information, it's
Right.
available to the
and the public
public.
is welcome to come and observe
Or watch online.
or watch online.
yeah,
And I don't think there'd be any action items during that.
Okay.
It'd be more of a discussion or.
Yeah, and then the thought process was that discussion, see if there's a consensus among the board to bring an action item potentially to the following regularly scheduled board meeting. Which then would make sense perhaps to, because we would have had the workshop, we can share, this is what's being looked at. This is, if you want to come and give public comment and feedback before the board takes action.
that makes.
That would
makes
give,
sense.
it's not a lot of time, but it's about a week.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it'd be 1 week
It'll be.
later
Yeah.
would be our regular
Yeah.
scheduled board meeting.
That makes a lot of sense. I wanna make sure that the community knows what's going on and,
Right.
really let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense, Jason. The next meeting. Cool.
Does that work then? Make sense to schedule that meeting on
Yes,
January?
it's just 1 week.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep,
I mean, theoretically, we could schedule it as another special meeting on the 20th, but that's the drop dead day.
It's a drop dead.
Yeah. So I kind of like the idea of having that discussion on the 13th.
well, yeah, the 20th, but we would have to have a decision before the night of the 20th. Like,
Right.
we would
Really,
have
because
to
at that
during the
point, you're
business hours.
basically approving resolutions that have already been prepared.
Right,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense to have it 6.
yeah.
What time?
So I think 6
6
P.M.
o'clock.
is what was proposed, right? Or did you?
Whatever works for the board.
Okay,
Yeah, the 6th is the Monday night.
Ed, do you think that
could
we
we
could,
do it earlier?
do you think that's enough a week?
If we can. Where are your guys at with respect to your proposals? I mean.
We'll
I'd
have
like
it
to see
ready,
that.
but- We'll have options and a list of proposals and.
The problem is that you got the holidays and then
Right,
suddenly
right.
January.
Right,
But will you have it done before the holidays?
Before like before Christmas.
Yeah. Or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd have,
I'm just saying, if you could share that with the board.
Right.
Prior to.
prior
we
to the
can-
6th, it
we
would
can dig
give
in.
us more time to
yes,
like.
what we could do is
adjust.
we'll have the
Maybe-
links and then you'll have the agenda before and you can look at it ahead of time.
I think
Okay.
if you commit to that, we just gotta do our homework before that meeting.
I think I guess I could do like a Loom. For the board too, because I want to, it's going through to share context. If
I
that
get
makes
it.
sense, just giving you the
Yep,
numbers of the document without having the explanation or the context.
All that's,
Yeah.
all that's
That makes
extremely
sense.
helpful.
That would
Yeah.
be nice.
Okay.
We gotta do some homework before that meeting, we can't just come in cold and.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
You're gonna hit.
We'll be
your
here
carpet
for
out.
the whole night.
Yeah.
So on the 6th, can we meet an hour earlier, just to get, so it's not such a late night? Or does that not work for people?
I would prefer that just because
You're good with that?
I'll make
How
5
about you,
work.
Heather, does that
I
work
was
for
gonna
you?
say, it's a challenge, but I can get here by 5.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
5 on the
Everybody.
6th.
Okay.
Do we need food of any sort, sandwiches or?
I mean,
Sure, absolutely.
Gonna rub that in, Jason's gonna get cookies again.
We probably would do more
But
than.
no, what did you get? You got cheese, couple of cheese sticks? I'm still bitter about that.
We can't tell.
All right, we'll figure that out.
Filet thermidor.
I'm gonna give you chocolate, so you're in
Yeah,
a good mood.
yeah. That's a good look, Adam. We're trying to cut money from the school
Filet
budget. and-
thermidor and dump area.
Yeah.
Although that's, oh, hey, Sammy. That should be.
All right. You're cutting the squares?
Yeah.
The diamonds, they got diamonds.
Yeah.
If you have some information a couple of days before, would that be enough time frame or?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, like, if it's not, yeah. Like, when you guys come back to
Maybe we
school,
could share, Phil, I think that overarching.
Yeah.
One, like what we went through with the admin team today, and just, I could do a Loom video and give some context there, so you have a frame of
sixth is
reference.
the first day back at school, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we can go into more detail on the 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
I guess then we need to look for approval of the.
Yes,
Budget.
so I need a motion to approve the,
I'll move to approve the 2025 budget development calendar as modified. Meeting at 5 p.m. on January 6th.
is there a second?
Second.
That was Kevin. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2025-2026 budget development calendar as modified. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I guess we're at announcements.
All right, there's a lot of announcements on the board notes there, just. Reminder for the. Two incumbents there that Jody had left,
Mr. Scarrow and Mr. Gayheart.
yeah. Reminder of the policy committee meeting that's on December 16th, we did move that did that work for you, Mr. Scarrow, to move it to that earlier time?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
it worked for me.
And did we do that at 11 or move it to 10?
It's
We moved it to 10.
That's what I thought, that's at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
These were done, okay. The next regular school board meeting is January 13th. The superintendent evaluation, that's the time frame to discuss and close. I believe Jody included the link for that survey there. Board members wishing to attend the state education convention, just get a hold of Jody and she can get that set up. And then there was a article from WASB that we shared related to the board's role in that financial oversight.
Jason, we might have just mentioned.
Yes, please.
That was put together, Roger Price, retired business manager, he's a consultant for the School Board Association, and then Mike Berry is the executive director for WASBO, which is my professional organization, and they put this together, and it really, I thought was very good, and the reason they put it together is there's been a number of districts across the state that have gone through some significant financial challenges that ended up being kind of a surprise, at least in theory, a surprise to the school board.
Mm.
And these are some pretty basic things that most school districts have had in play. And as we're talking with colleagues, finding that that's not the case in a lot of districts. So this is just a good, I would just keep this as a reference as board members. I just think it's a good thing for you as board members to have that as a reference for things that should be going on relative to the big picture on school finance. So that's all.
Yes, go ahead.
I just something to add. I received a message from, I think it was the Wisconsin Counties Association. Yeah, that there is a governor listening session on the biennial budget. And there, you do need to register, it's free. But there is a virtual
one was in Milwaukee.
Right, but there's a virtual
Yes.
session coming up on December 16th. So if anybody, yeah, we've got the 10th in Milwaukee, the 12th in Ashland, and then the 16th is virtual. So if you'd like that, I'll forward the message to you so you can register.
It's a great idea to do those listening sessions virtual because
Right,
you can sit there for hours waiting for your turn to
right.
share your.
Right.
thoughts,
So
yeah.
it's a certain
That's
board
good.
record.
Yeah,
Adam?
it was also in the,
I was gonna say, I received that.
it was in the WASB newsletter.
I wasn't sure,
Yeah.
so, okay, yeah, I got county stuff, so, all right.
And that's it for the announcements, unless anyone has anything else. We do have the closed session. Don't read the sample motion in the board notes because it doesn't include the portion related to the property. We need to get read from the agenda. That's the.
Okay. All right, so looking for a motion to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn.
Well, we have. To read that.
To adjourn to
There you go.
contemplate a close pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.185, para 1, para D, and para E, to review written evaluations for school safety drills, the WSSCA Safety Assessment Report, and to discuss the proposal from Newman Companies to purchase 2.27 acres of land. The school board will not reconvene in open session.
Looking for a second.
Second.
All right. Do I have to repeat that whole thing? Okay, all right, it's been, there's a motion and a second to adjourn to contemplated closed session.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to vote, dear.
Sorry.
And the school board will not reconvene in open session. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mayor Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Corpus, abstain.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mr. Jaime Saravia, abstain.
You can say it.
Yes.
All right.